Luc Bouchard with Solvac Life Coaching Services. I've been a certified life skills coach for 22 years and I specialize in men's issues and father involvement. Welcome. Today is the 28th day of the 72-day challenge. Our weekly theme is fatherhood because we just had Father's Day a few days ago. Our daily focus is the life skills process, and the topic is helping dads be more emotionally available with their children. Many years ago, after I became a life skills coach, I had a position as a family preservation worker. And that was where I'd get contracts with the agency I was working for to go work within families that have been identified as, through the local authority, child welfare or child and family services or children's aid or whatever you want to call it. That's depending on the state or the province you're from. But it's the idea where the government intervenes when there's abuse and neglect. And so I would go in and work with families around issues of parenting skills, family of origin stuff, why parents were not following through, consistency, and that kind of stuff. And it was more than just teaching logical and natural consequences or any other kind of behaviors. It was really about what got in the way of parents from making good choices. And the scenario I'd run into on a regular basis was these dynamics between the mother and father when it came to dealing with their adolescent boys. And what would happen is that you would see this tension between the parents, or these, as I say, dynamic, where you get one parent acting one way and another parent acting another, and they really weren't on the same page. They weren't probably even in the same book. And it would basically, kids would have a heyday with this because they would play both parents off each other. So there was one particular family that comes to mind that I was contracted to go and work with. And what happened was child welfare got a call from the school saying that a 14-year-old boy reported that he got hit by his dad that morning. So I was called in to go in and give child welfare not only a snapshot of what was happening through a family functioning assessment, but also work with the family to help them make better choices and to see if maybe there was a greater intervention needed. So upon dealing with the parents, what became quickly evident is that you had a mother who was extremely permissive and a father who was extremely controlling. And what would happen is that the more controlling the dad was, the more permissive mom was. And the more permissive mom was, then the more permissive dad was. Or the more permissive mom was, then the more controlling dad was. And it was this negative cycle of mom seeing the dad be, over the top with his, extreme parenting. And so she would basically be more lax because she didn't like what she saw. And then dad would see mom being more lax, and so he would, amp up the need to be tough on his kids because he had to teach them something. So in this particular instance, when I was talking to the father, I was learning about what he grew up with and how he was parented. And sure enough, how he parented, how he parents was how he was parented. And this particular father would talk about how his father was heavy-handed, and his father definitely believed in spare the rod, spoil the child, and he would dole out the corporal punishment pretty liberally. And he had to learn that his father was to be respected. And I said, so when I learned this, I said, and that's what you do with your son, is you feel the need to really teach him lessons. And he goes, yeah, because kids these days, they don't respect. And kids these days lip you off. And I would never got away with that. And I never would have been able to talk the way I talk. And other parents would have tuned me in too if they had heard me talking that way. And I go, okay, yeah, any chance we live in a different time where that was okay then and it's not okay now? He goes, yeah, but still kids don't know. They need to know better, and they're just not respectful. So, okay. So I would eventually get to the point about, well, how did it feel when your father would treat you that way, when he was heavy-handed? Because I didn't like it. He goes, but were you afraid of him? He goes, yeah, but I certainly respected him. I go, "Oh, yeah, obviously you did, because you were made to respect him. But how did it feel? Did it feel good? Did you like being afraid of your father?" He goes, "Well, no." Do you want your son to be afraid of you, like you were afraid of your father? And he goes, "Well, he's got to learn to be respectful." And goes, "Okay, but do you want him to be afraid of you?" "No, not really. I'd prefer he wasn't." I'm going, "Well, you need to do it differently, because yeah, he's not going to lip you off, and yeah, he's not going to act that way, but that's not out of respect. That's out of fear. And really, we don't want our children being afraid of us. We want them to respect us, and through the fact that they don't want our disappointment. Not because we're going to get a cuff across the face or get their ass kicked. So what I have found when I worked with some fathers, certainly not all fathers, is that if I can get them in touch with how it felt when they were small boys to be afraid of their fathers and remember what that was like, that is the beginning of having them understand that they maybe can do it differently, because they remember what it's like, and they also remember they didn't like it, and they then can understand that that's really not what they want from their children. And that's why I talk about getting dads to be more emotionally available to their children, is have them understand what it was like to be parented that way, and then they can hopefully make different choices. So dads who are listening to this, do you have the kind of relationship you want with your teenage kids? Do you want to have involvement in their lives when they're adults? Do you want to get to know your grandchildren? Because if you come from the aspect, or your approach is spare the rod, spoil the child, or they have to learn, that maybe was what our parents did, but it's not effective, and it's not really acceptable today, and we live in a different world. And if you want to have a good relationship with your children when they're adults, then you need to work on it differently now, because I would bet a lot of you don't have good relationships with your fathers who treated you that way. Or I don't know if it's maybe you have a relationship with them, but is it as close as you'd like? So we need to break the cycle. We need to do it differently. And there's lots of ways to do that, and it's generally knowledge and knowing that it doesn't have to be that way. I would love to hear your comments on this. If you want to send me an email, or and let me know what you thought about this. If there's more on this topic you'd like to hear about, please get in touch with me. My email is on my website. And I hope you have a great day. And just remember, we deserve to be in our kids' lives, and our kids deserve to be in our lives. So let's do it differently. All right. You have a great day, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.